Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be doing my weekly wrap-up for Saturday, July 13th. So this has been a really full week with a lot of exciting bookish things going on. First, I've been continuing my reading of Ulysses with the Ulysses 2024 group read-along hosted by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. Last weekend, our Discord group, the Ulysses 6, met for another live discussion in which we discussed the long and challenging episode 15. This is the episode that's written in play form, and it lasts about 150 pages. Having this group with which to discuss this complex novel has been invaluable. And it has made what could really be a struggle, it has turned that into a very rich experience. As of today, I have completed episode 16, and I'm in the middle of episode 17. So after that, there's just one more episode to go. We will be having one more live discussion of episodes 16 through 18 when we've all finished the novel. So we will be finished on schedule in the last week of July. I also continued this week with my daily poetry shorts. And again, I want to thank all of my friends and subscribers who are continuing to watch these little poetry bursts and continuing to respond to the daily poems. I so appreciate you. I also appeared on Thursday night on Is This Thing On? The live stream show hosted by Dave and Olive at Book Blather and by Gareth at Books, Songs, and Other Magic. I cannot do justice to our conversation here. I can only say that I can't remember the last time that I laughed as hard as I laughed for most of this show. Dave has posted it if anyone wants to catch some of the laughs, and I put a link to it on as a post as well on my community page. We had a great crowd in the chat who kept the laughs going for about 3.5 hours. Thanks to everyone who came to the chat or who tuned in afterwards. And thanks so much to Dave and Olive and Gareth for having me. I don't think my life will ever be quite the same, and that's all that I'm going to say. My real life book group met this week also, and we met to discuss two books which were actually rereads for me. This past Tuesday, we met to discuss Claire Keegan's Foster and Donal Ryan's Queen of Dirt Island. Two beautiful novels, both set in Ireland. Written in 2010, Claire Keegan's Foster is a deceptively simple little story that packs a powerful emotional punch. It's the story of a very young Irish girl from a large, impoverished family, a family that really can't take care of her and all of their children. With yet another child on the way, the parents decide to send one of their children to live for a time with distant relatives, the Kinsellas, whom we later find out have lost their only child, and they are now a childless couple. The child who's going to stay with the Kinsellas is the narrator. She doesn't know these people that she will be living with, nor does she know why she's going or for how long she's going to be living with them. She is really given no information whatsoever. What happens is that this child, who is pretty neglected at home in a family of too many children, actually begins to thrive under the care of these distant relatives, Mr. and Mrs. Kinsella, a grieving couple with much love to give to a child in such desperate need. At one point in the novella, the child is walking by the sea with Mr. Kinsella at night. The girl feels that this night is a strange one, to be walking by a sea that has always been there, but to see it differently this time. In a loving gesture, as they come out of the sand dunes, Mr. Kinsella puts the child's shoes on her and then puts on his own. Looking back out at the water, he says, "See, there's 3 lights now where there was only 2 before." The child looks out to sea and reflects. There, the 2 lights are blinking as before, but with another steady light shining in between. He asks her if she can see it, and she says she can. And that is when he put his arms around me and gathers me into them as though I were his own. The simplicity of this scene that symbolically renders the idea that these lost souls have become a family is breathtaking. The reader wants for this little girl to live for the rest of her life with these parent figures who are so loving and nurturing. This was, as I said, a reread for me. I could not stop talking about this book when I first read it. It was wonderful to share it with my book group, to discuss it with them now, and we universally loved both the book and the movie, The Quiet Girl, that was made from the novella. We also read and discussed this month Donal Ryan's The Queen of Dirt Island, which was a book that I had read for the quarterfinals of the BookTube Award judging this year. It was still in the running going into the semifinals. We'll see if it makes it into the final round. This is the story of 4 generations of women in the Alward family, beginning in the 1980s in Neenah in Tipperary County, Ireland. Eileen Alward is widowed at the very beginning in the first chapter of the novel, shortly after having given birth to her daughter, Saoirse. Estranged from her own family, Eileen and her new baby move in with Mary, or Nana, Eileen's mother-in-law. Eventually, some years into the narrative, Saoirse too brings home a daughter, Pearl. This is a world of women raising children largely without men or with men who are only on the periphery of their lives. These are incredibly strong women who share powerful, volatile relationships. These relationships are filled with a great deal of foul-mouthed insults hurled at each other. but they are also relationships based on intense love and commitment. I adored these characters, and I think my favorite may have been Nana, the mother-in-law slash grandmother, who is just a feisty, tough, raucous, foul-mouthed, and absolutely lovable character. As I think I talked about when I reviewed this, when I gave my rankings for the books, the novel is made up of these tiny chapters. Each chapter has a one-word title, and then each chapter consists of only 500 words. Some chapters describe extremely ordinary days in the lives of these characters, while other chapters convey absolutely cataclysmic events that have occurred. And the point of the structure, Ryan said, is that he's really trying to show us everyday life. And in the course of, several years in the life of a family, each day is exactly the same length, but in some days, nothing really happens. It's just ordinary life. And then on other days, the same length, earth-shattering events occur. The chapters read like short vignettes, but they all hang together really well to illustrate the life and times of this family who, while they have their disagreements and their arguments, they would do anything for one another. There is a great deal of sorrow in the novel. There's an extraordinary amount of loss in this family, but there is also a great deal of love, a great deal of joy in this family as well, and there were passages that caused me to laugh out loud and celebrate with this delightful family. The writing is just gorgeous. Our entire book group adored this book, and a few of us are on our way to reading the earlier works of Donal Ryan as well. At the end of our book group discussion, we always choose the book for the next month, and we chose for this, for our August meeting, we chose the brand new Liz Moore novel, The God of the Woods. This just came out last week. Maureen Corrigan on NPR compares this novel to Donna Tartt's 1992 debut novel, The Secret History. At the start of this novel, the 13-year-old daughter of the Van Laar family dynasty, her name is Barbara Van Laar, she goes missing from the summer camp that her family owns. She is the second child in the Van Laar family to go missing. Several years earlier, her older brother had also disappeared from this camp. And that mystery was not solved. Barbara is now the second child, the second child for this family to lose. A thrilling drama is to unfold as the search for this missing teenager begins, and we uncover all kinds of secrets of the wealthy Van Laar family and the impoverished community working in its midst. I adored the last book that Liz Moore wrote. That was The Long, Bright River. So I'm really excited to read this new one, and I'm thrilled that my group decided on this novel. Both Ulysses and The God of the Woods count for the Big Book Summer Challenge 2024, hosted by the lovely Sue Jackson, where all we have to do is read big books, that is, books of 400 pages or more. So both The God of the Woods and Ulysses fit that description. Finally, this past week has also been week number 2 of Rocket Summer, an event created by Michael K. Vaughn and hosted by a number of other people, and I'm one of the co-hosts. And for the month of July, we're reading classic science fiction from the 19th century through 1969, all in the month of July. So week 2 of Rocket Summer, which we're just completing, that is devoted to the 1940s. I read several things for week 2, and I'm going to post that in a separate video just devoted to Rocket Summer. But in brief, I can tell you that I read 3 short stories by women who were writing in the 1940s. And I found these stories in Sisters of Tomorrow, the first women of science fiction, and in volume 1 of the Library of America science fiction series on women, 25 classic fiction stories by women. The Future is Female, volume 1. So the 3 stories, one of the stories was in both of these books. One was just in this book, and one was in just in Sisters of Tomorrow. And then I also read 2 novels in the Robert A. Heinlein Juvenile series, a series of books that he created for young people before YA was such a thing. And that was the first 2 that he wrote in the series, Rocket Ship Galileo, and I just love the covers on these old sci-fi paperbacks, and also Space Cadet, when Space Cadet actually meant, a young man who goes off to, to learn how to be an astronaut and be part of this most courageous group of people who keep the solar system peaceful. And then I'm still in the middle of George R. Stewart's Earth Abides, which is a post-apocalyptic novel that, I'm in the middle of this now, and hopefully I'll be able to talk about it in my, if not in my week 2 summary for Rocket Summer, then certainly in week 3. The Rocket Summer video for week 2 is going to go up tomorrow. So that's it for my weekly wrap up. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.